Yeah, thank you and good morning, Group 7. Thank you for preparing for this presentation. So as mentioned, you have 15 minutes to complete your presentations proper. All right. So unless there are technical difficulties, if not, I will not interfere your presentations at all. Now, so fellow classmate, can you mute your mic? Because I can see that some of the students have not muted your mic as yet. Please go ahead and mute your mic because if not, there might be interference later on from your side. So let me just very quickly type out text. Okay. Okay. So good. So fellow members, please mute your mic so that we can begin proper. Okay. So without further ado, all right. Group 7, your time starts now.
Hello, we are from Group 7. I'm Hafiz, and this is Jared, and Kwang, and Mark. So we'll be presenting as agent for our client, Pearl Age Care. So we provide consultancy for them. So next slide. Next slide. This is our content page. Beginning, we will define our problem, aims, and objectives. In the middle, we'll show you our findings, and we end off with our limitation and recommendation. Next slide. So the problem, client is Pearl Age Care. The country is in Australia. So basically the pandemic has hit Australia and Pearl Age Care is concerned about their staffing crisis and thus affect the quality of care. So that's why the aim of project is to develop and sustain and design a suitable recommendation to address these issues with regards to our client Pearl Age Care. Next slide. So how do we solve our research aim? So basically there is 3 objectives. So we identify what other factors might have a positive or negative impact on elder health quality care, which I will show you in our next slide, conceptual framework. So to which and how and which to which extent of each of the factors affect quality care. So which variables has a strong and weak relationship with the dependent variables. Thirdly, we provide basically the recommendations and solution as to solve the quality care without jeopardizing the company's financial capacity. Next slide. The conceptual framework. So based on our phase 1 and phase 2 research, problem discovery and systematic literature review, we came up with 1 dependent variable and 4 independent variables that we will carry out using quantitative and qualitative research. So the dependent variable that we had in mind and we had discovered was quality care. Independent variable was the sufficient staffing, application of technology, caring workplace, and quality management. Next. The methods that we had in mind that we have selected is the mixed method research, specifically is explanatory sequential mixed method. So what this is we begin with quantitative research followed by qualitative. The use of convenience sampling, basically for ease of convenience, for ease of access for our fellow respondents. Due to pandemic, we cannot go out simply and meet them and interview at one-to-one. So due to these constraints, we have to do convenience sampling. But the target market in mind was not the healthcare of concern. So basically it's just friends and families. Why we choose explanatory is because the quantitative result provides initial insight and qualitative provide furthermore in-depth answers to their response. So quantitative, we use online Google Doc survey and we had 93 respondents. For qualitative, we use semi-structured personal interview. Basically, we set a few fixed questions and further on we prompt them using their own responses. So basically, majority were male and minority were female in our sample size, and majority of them were 18 to 24. So we conducted our methodology using Google Docs. For interviews, we use Zoom or either via phone call. So next slide, I will pass on to Mark to explain about our quantitative findings.
Okay, thanks, Hafiz. Hi, I'm Mark, and I'm going to talk about our quantitative analysis findings. So below our survey results for 93 respondents, our survey is an online survey using a 5-point Likert scale, which consists of 25 research questions and 2 demographic questions. I'm also going to show the individual mean score and correlation for the individual IVs and DVs. Next slide, please. Okay, these 2 tables show our mean score for IV1, sufficient staffing, and IV2, application of technology. So each of the tables show the mean score for each question in that category. So for example, IV 1-1, we have the question, I'm well informed of my deployment. It has a mean score of 4.1. For IV 2-1, the technology in my facilities are up to date, which has a mean score of 4.2. Next slide, please. Yeah, so these 2 tables show the results for IV3, caring workplace, and IV4, quality management. Next slide. So finally, here are our results for our DV quality care. Next slide. Next slide. Okay, so from the mean score, IV2, application of technology proved to be the most relevant, while IV1, sufficient staffing, was the least relevant. Next slide, thank you. So moving on to the correlation analysis. In correlation analysis, there are typically 5 outcomes. It can be a perfect outcome when the value is nil or equal to 1, or high degree outcome when the value is between 0.5 to 1, a moderate degree when the value is 0.3 to 0.49, and low degree when the value lies below 0.29. And in some rare cases, the value would be 0. Next slide. Yep, so by using Microsoft Excel or Corel formula, we managed to collect our data, and we managed to derive the correlation for the individual IVs and DVs. So for correlation of IV1, we have a 0.21. Correlation IV2, we have 0.47. Correlation IV3, we have 0.59. And correlation for IV4, we have 0.60. So in all, IV4 quality management has the strongest correlation of 0.60. And IV1 sufficient staffing has the smallest correlation of 0.21. And with that, I'll pass my time on to Jared to explain on qualitative findings. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Hi, I'm Jared, and I'll be speaking about our qualitative findings. We have interviewed a total of 10 respondents using a semi-structured personal interview method. Our interview consists of 17 guiding questions, and then we branched out to several more informal or open-ended questions so that our respondents felt more comfortable with us. From these interviews, we have found a trend or pattern that has emerged among aged care homes in Australia. We completed a thematic analysis to compile the trends of the interview. Next slide. We have a total of 4 themes: well-being, nursing home reviews, work cycle, and technology. I've included quotes from our respondents in each slide to help all of you better understand our quotes and themes. In our first theme of well-being, the trend our respondents had was that patients experience deteriorating mental health due to COVID-19, as they were given even less freedom and unable to see their loved ones while constantly worrying about contracting the virus. Next slide. Moving on to the second theme, many respondents also felt that nursing homes were not a good environment and would not send their own elderly relatives there. This was because they felt that nursing homes were understaffed and their relatives would not receive the appropriate amount of care. Next slide. The trend in the team work cycle was that many respondents felt understaffed and overworked due to the COVID-19 situation, and there was even a lack of PPE such as masks and gloves. Even nursing home staffs themselves felt there was a lot more negative feedback compared to positive. Next slide. Lastly, respondents felt that technology had helped them greatly, as several gadgets such as the automatic infrared thermometer and electric wheelchairs have saved them a lot of effort during this period of low manpower. However, they also mentioned that although the technology was helpful, it paled in comparison to the overwhelming workload. With this, I'll pass the time to my groupmate Kwang.
Thank you so much, Jia, for the information on our qualitative finding. Hi, I'm Yat, and I want to provide you the information about our research limitation as well as recommendation we have made for Pro Aged Care. So while conducting the research, we have found out the two biggest limitation of us, which is the first one is small sample size. So as Hafiz has mentioned above on the methodology, we only have 93 survey respondents as well as 10 interview respondents. Now this number is relatively small, and the reason for it is that we cannot find people with enough knowledge base to answer either our survey or interview. For the second limitation, which is inaccurate qualitative data. So we have found out that during the interview, it is very possible for the interviewee to not give the accurate answers. This could happen either due to their insecurities or maybe the answers, the question is too hard to understand. So the interviewee might give the convenient answers rather than the accurate answers. So both of the limitation has affected our final result for the research we conduct on Pro Aged Care. We have made 4 big recommendations for Pro Aged Care in order to improve their quality care. The 4 recommendation is corresponding to the 4 IVs that we have made. So for the first IV, which is sufficient staffing, our recommendation for Pro Aged Care is to implement incentive to raise employees' motivation. For example, they can award employee with the reward, for example, like employee of the month, so that they're gonna boost employee motivation, especially hardworking employees. Or they can utilize volunteer and part-time employees. So they're gonna have more manpower, and at the meantime, they don't, they don't spend more on their financial stability. For the second recommendation, which related to technology application, we want them to further implement technology application in aged care houses. So one trend that we have recognized in aged care houses is that they don't implement the latest technology because they don't have enough money to do that. So here we suggest some very cheap and might be useful technology that can be used in aged care. For example, automatic temperature check system, utility equipment such as electronic wheelchair, or maybe an AI system for food delivery and nutrition control for the patient in the aged care house. Our third recommendation is to organize essential skill classes for employees so that they can learn methodically. Another trend that we have recognized from aged care houses is that a lot of employees there, they gain their experience from the fact that they are used to do their job in aged care house, and not because of they have the core skills and knowledge before. So when special situation occur, such as COVID-19, they are normally confused and don't know how to act in those situations. So by organizing these classes, we believe that we're going to improve the skill as well as the survivability of people in the aged care house, especially in the COVID-19. And lastly, for quality management, we want Pro Aged Care to further improve the relationship of the staff within their company. So the staff, it is an aged care house, yes, but it is also a business. So normally the relationship, especially between the staff and the manager, are normally not good. So we want people to at least listening to other people's opinion. So we believe that when people's opinion are listened to and respect, they're gonna work much better, and therefore resulting in a much better quality care for Pro Aged Care. And that's basically everything that we want to tell you about our research. Thank you so much for sticking with us till the end, and we're going to see you next time.
Thank you so much. Okay, thank you for group 7. Now you can stop your recording. Thank you.